Hello, everyone. My name is Katie, and welcome to my Greenland Quilter channel. I hope everybody's been having a lovely Saturday. I don't even know where the heck this week went to because we were just in July, we were just in June, we were just in all the months before that, and it seems like our planet is spinning a little bit too fast. But anyway, tonight I have both Ian and John here to sew with me tonight, and it's been a hot minute since either one of us have sewn together, and so I was able to fix it based on our schedules to get them into the same live together. So what I'm going to do is spotlight John first. And John, I want you to tell everybody who you are and about your channel and what you're going to work on. You know, the same old spill.
No, all good. Thanks, Katie, for having me this evening. Always exciting to be with you. So my name is John. I have Guys Craft 2 and am just now getting into my second year of quilting and crafting. Tonight, I'm working on Hot Pad Runner. So I don't know, I'm trying to get all this stuff ready for Christmas. I've got literally 8 other quilts sitting here. This morning, I got motivated and cut this pattern out.
Oh
and
boy.
I was like, well, wait a minute. Let me go on and make some Christmas hot pad. And I was like, okay, it's been a squirrel day. It's been kind of crazy. But I started my channel by watching folks like Katie, Ian, and got really motivated in the skills and that they bring, and thought it would be fun to talk about someone who is trying to figure this out and just get started and go back to the basics sometimes. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my channel.
When was your second anniversary?
Just June, June 17th.
Oh, so you're because my second year anniversary was July the 2nd.
Oh wow, look at you.
So we're both 2-year-olds right now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's totally amazing. Okay, hi Ian, what's been going on in your way or in your life? Let us know about yourself, about your channel, and whatever else you want to spill along with what you plan on working on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I gotta say, Hot Pad Runner. How did you know that was my dancing name on Friday night? Like, I mean, come on now. No, I just got off a live stream a little while ago over on my channel, Off Kilter Crafter Ian. I am trying to recover my voice from it and still go strong today. But yeah, today I am gonna be sewing some more on the spectral sensation that I started a few months ago, and I need to get it finished up because I'm sure the people at Northcott would appreciate it if I would actually post on social media about it. So I'm going to be working on that. But you can check everything out about me over on my website, www.offkiltercrafterian.com.
That's lovely. So what have you two been up to? I mean, I was talking to John the other day, and I'm like, what kind of trouble can the three of us get into tonight? I don't know. We'll come up with something probably, but yeah, what has been going on? I know, Ian, you moved from Texas to Virginia.
I did.
So there's that, and that's happened in the last year because you and I haven't sewed. It's been, I think, a little over a year since I sewed with you and John, and so yeah, a lot has gone on in a year. I mean, I'm sure you have lots to tell about, or if you want, I know you talk about it on your live, but yeah, I mean,
it's been busy. It's been very, very busy for sure. And then going through a complete rebranding this month on my channel and doing all the things has been pretty crazy, but it's been good. It's been busy, like adjusting to Virginia versus Texas and seeing the East Coast and QuiltCon, and then doing my very first quilting retreat, and then this and then that, and writing my first pattern, and like all the things are happening, and it's amazing and I love it. But it's also like there's so much going on behind the scenes that people don't know about. Like as content creators, we're always doing stuff in the background to keep progressing and keep moving forward and keep things going. And so there's a lot of stuff happening in the background that just is like, there are some days that because I also work a 9-to-5 job, so I've got to keep that going. And then as soon as the 9-to-5 is finished, it's like, I don't want to do any more work. But you got to do the other things to keep your channel going and stuff like that. So it's been busy. It's been good, but it's been busy.
And John, you've been going back and forth between, if I understand right, you go back and forth between two houses, right?
I do. So it's interesting because I did the opposite of Ian. So I lived in Virginia for about 12 years. And then 8 years ago, decided I wanted to be in Arizona. So I swapped the East Coast for the desert. I did not realize at the time the desert would be 118 degrees in the summer, but
Oh God.
it is what it is. I do miss Virginia. I still have family. I have grandkids and that over in Virginia. And so I still get back to the Roanoke, Charlottesville area, and occasionally up to Virginia Beach. But we have a summer house up in northern Arizona. So we try to bounce up there because typically in the summertime, it's about 20 to 25 degrees cooler.
Yeah.
So it makes it much nicer.
So since I love making questions up, I want to know from Ian what he thinks about living on the East Coast, and I want to know from John what he thinks about living in the desert. Those are two completely different ecosystems.
They are. They definitely are.
So one of you can answer that question.
It is, so it's definitely different. Like I'm definitely getting used to a completely different, I like that because today it's like 83 degrees. And if I was living in Texas, it would be a heat index of 150 million. So it's definitely a lot better in that regards. And I love that I don't swelter as much. Although I did go into DC proper recently, and I was like, why am I back in Houston? I'm sweating and it's not going anywhere. It's not dissipating. Why is it like that here? Why did I bring Houston to DC? But yeah, I like it here. It's a lot cooler. The history here is amazing. The Smithsonian museums are amazing, and I'm just having a great time going and exploring and seeing what all is available out here.
So have you met any interesting people since you've moved to the East Coast?
Not yet. Still, making friends and setting up my, support network and all of those things. Still figuring out like what everything is and does and who and what and when and where and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. What about you, John? What do you think about where you're living at now? And have you met any interesting people?
So for me, it's just kind of the opposite, right? Because I grew up in the East Coast. I lived in South Carolina, Georgia, all of that area. And then coming out here, they talk about a dry heat, and it's like, yeah, whatever. It's still hot. But then you go back, like we just went back a couple of months ago to Myrtle Beach to be with the grandkids and that. And we're sitting there and just peeling our clothes off because they're saturated, they're wet. And it's like, oh, that's right. You all have humidity. We don't have humidity, and so it's getting used to the different things, when you talk about, it's interesting in the area that I live. Just this morning, I saw two coyotes walking down the street, and we have a lot of coyotes out here. I never saw that back on the East Coast. I have a bobcat family that apparently lives somewhere around here because I saw the mama bobcat or the baby bobcat not too long ago. And it's like, so just different animals, different adventures altogether. But I've been real fortunate. I'm in a great community. I've made a lot of quilting friends. I've got a nice quilting club that has just been so supportive. It's mostly retired women. And they have all nurtured me and taken me under their wing, which has been amazing. And so it's been a good change for me.
So would you both say that I know that Ian came from Texas and you came from Virginia. Would you say that you have the same amount of access to quilting people? Or do you think that because you moved where you moved to, it's been easier? What do you both say to that?
I would say for me, it's been easier where I live, but that's because I cheated and I'm a little bit older than all of you. So I live in a retirement community. So we have a club of about 200 women. I have 5 local quilt shops within 10 minutes of me. So between the quilt shops, the local club that I can join right here, and then all the specialty groups that we have, it's made it pretty simple, pretty easy for me.
Ian?
Yeah, I think joining, like having the DC Modern Quilt Guild here has really helped kind of reestablish, because I had several, like the DFW area has 8, 9, 10, like 15 guilds across the entire Metroplex. So it's crazy like how many people were available there and all that kind of stuff. Here we have the DC Modern, and I just haven't had the chance to really go spend a lot of time with them and check everything out and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still getting used to, because it's a much longer journey to get to meetings and stuff, because not only do they meet in Northern Virginia, they also meet in DC proper, they meet in Maryland. And so it bounces around all month, or each month it bounces around. So I never know exactly where it's going to be. And I have to then figure out, okay, how do I want to get there? Do I want to take the metro? Do I want to, like, how do I want to get there basically?
It sounds like both of you are pretty happy where you're at as well.
Yep, very much.
Yeah. Let me say hello to everyone in the chat. We have several come in. We have Catherine. Hello. Hello, Candace. Hello, Andy. And I can't see who was up there at the top. Someone is up there. We have Jaja Brownie and Cindy Good and Robin Marie. Hello, 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 Brian. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Savannah. Savannah, I've never seen you before, so welcome to my channel.
Yeah, I think she probably popped over from my channel.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. So, hello, Kathy Dreamin'. Yeah, so welcome you guys that has never been to my channel. So we're just gonna sew and talk, and I'm going to ask questions, and because I can't help it. Hello, Jel Marie. Bruce, welcome. You want to know what the temperature was today here? You want to guess?
I have no idea, to be honest.
165.
No. Thank God. No, I would be dead in this house. Okay, so we hit 70 degrees today. And
No
I
way.
know that's not as hot as 115, but if you were sitting inside of my house like I am, and it's 100 inside my house, I was walking around here thinking, oh my God, I think I'm going to pass out. I have become sensitive, I think, to the heat. And so I have opened the front door at the risk of having mosquitoes in the house, and opened the other window to try to pull some of the heat out of the house. It's a little better, but I closed the door almost all the way now, because the later we get, the more chance of mosquitoes flopping into our door, But today, very warm and lots of sunshine, and we haven't had rain for 2 or 3 weeks now. Hello, Joy. Hey, Judy Hebert. Hello, Giovanna. I'm sorry, Giovanna. I got to remember not to do that. Anyway, hi, Giovanna. Hello, Lynn Evans. Hello, Dion. It's either Deanna or Deanna. I don't know which. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so what I'm going to work on is I'm rebuilding this block that I was doing on my live last night, because I was unhappy with the part of it, and I'll show you the original block. But it's this pattern that is from the 1000 block book. And for those of you that don't know what that is, what I've been doing since the second week in February is I've been doing a tutorial every other week from this book. This is the 1000 block book by Quilt Makers. And basically it has 1000 blocks in here. It's sectioned off into different sections. Like there's a big section for applique. There's a section for foundation paper piecing, a section for mixed techniques. And the big section at the back is all piecing. So we've been mostly working out of the piecing portion of this book. I have been talking to everybody, and some of them are a little bit interested in us doing maybe at least 1 or 2 foundation paper pieces. So I just got to figure out which ones I want to put up for a vote, because what I do is I pick 4 blocks out of the book. Then I make a poll and everybody votes on it. And based on the percentage of votes is, so if you have something that gets 60%, 40%, 30%, 20%, or like this past one, I don't know, three votes ago, I guess, per set, we had one block that didn't get voted on at all. So it's like, uh-oh, that doesn't look good. So let's go find a new block, you know, because they weren't interested. And that's okay, because that was the idea of this, is to get feedback from the viewers, but also this book is a lot like the one of y'all, was it you, John, that has the encyclopedia one?
I have the cards, the box card set.
Okay, so it's similar to like the box of cards. You get the measurements and that's all you get. So this book is set up the same way. So to me, this has been a really great skill builder for me personally, because I'm getting better at what I'm doing, and I'm also getting a better understanding of the mechanics of a block, which I needed to understand better, because I think that's why I get stuck on angles and stuff. I still get stuck on angles, but you know what I'm saying. But more people have bought this book and they're showing along now, and I didn't expect that to happen. I knew 1 or 2 would, but now we have, I think, 5 or 6 doing it, and we've been doing this since February the 7th. I talked to them yesterday about, I think what we're going to do is we're going to run this until somewhere around mid-January. And you're going to be like, some of you are going to be, why this long? One of the things I talked about at the beginning of the year was I took time in January. I took 2 or 3 weeks off where I didn't do any lives, because I needed to look at the past year, because there was parts where I did good and there was parts where it was an epic fail. Like I set up certain kinds of, and I don't mean fail like in a negative way. It was like 2 or 3 of my projects ended up falling to the side, and I knew I needed to kind of work on not allowing that to happen. And the other thing was, I wanted something that could help me build on my skill set, because I feel like I still feel like a beginner. Some people say I don't look like a beginner when they see my blocks over there, but there's things I still don't know how to do, so I can't say I'm an intermediate sewer yet. But if I can learn how to do tutorials while doing these blocks, it's building not just my skill set as far as a sewer, but also as teaching how to do these blocks. And it's been real blessing. So we're probably going to try to cut this off in mid-January for this first quilt, and then those that are building their blocks will have until we'll hit that 1 year mark on February the 6th in February 2026, which will end up us doing it either Friday the 6th, or we can do it on a Saturday. I don't know which. And I'm hoping that everybody will put their blocks together so we can have a trunk show of this 1 year of doing this. So it's really great. And I wanted John and Ian to see. You want to see what my setup's going to be like? Y'all are going to be like, I must be crazy. You want to see what I'm going to do with these blocks? I picked a setting. I'm going to put it up to a small camera where you can see it. Can you see it? That's how I'm going to do the quilt setting.
Oh, wow.
And I think it'll fit within because the blocks are going to be very scrappy colored. There'll be color all over the place. And I think by doing it this way, it'll enhance how they all look.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a cool layout.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun, and people are enjoying doing this. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm remaking the block from last night, because I'm trying to realign something, and I wasn't happy with the color I used. Thank you, Becca, so much for that. I appreciate that. She just did a super chat. And hi, Becca. Okay, let me see. Giovanna says, I cannot get quilt books here. You know what? Maybe I could send one to you. I'll order it from Amazon. Yeah, I bought this from Amazon and it was sent to me. Maybe I can order it for you and send it to you. I don't know. We'll see.
In the US, I cheat and buy a lot of quilt books off thrift books. It's just
Well,
amazing how much money you can save.
well,
And
yeah, but buying from thrift companies don't necessarily send books overseas.
yeah. That's why I said in
See,
the
with
US, it's a great
yeah,
advantage.
yeah, exactly. With Amazon, the only thing I can actually buy from Amazon that will ship to Greenland is videos and books.
No
Anything
kid.
else? No, nothing, zero.
Well,
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we are not part of the Denmark's part of the European Union, but Greenland isn't.
huh.
And it's not part of the European Union for a reason. And I don't, there is discussion talking about re-entering it, but I think they're still going to get a big fat no the minute the EU says, we want your fishing rights. They're going to say, no, because you're not getting them. All right, Joan says, hi, Katie, Ian, and John. Hope all of you are doing well. Caught Ian's live toward the end. Forgot he was today and not tomorrow. He mentioned he was on your live today. Glad he mentioned it. It's good to see you, Joan. Judy Smith says, hi, Katie, John, and Ian. Hello, Felicia. She says, good evening, Kathy and everyone. That means me, because they all know my other name, which I don't even go by anymore, which is crazy. I've gotten so used to being called Katie over here. The TH sound's not used in the Greenlandic language. It's the same thing with the Japanese language. That sound that you make to say Cappy is not there. And so I was always being called Catty or Katie. So, and my siblings always called me just Cat. What I didn't like is when my mother would go, Catherine Diane. I knew I was in trouble.
Yep, when that full name comes out, you're in
Yes.
trouble.
Here we go.
You're in trouble.
Deep doo-doo here.
Although you use your full name in your emails, like when you signed up for your email account, it's your full name. And I kept getting these emails and I was like, who is this? Oh, wait, no, that's Katie.
It's me. Yeah, when you see my given name, it's me. Or if you see Katie Oglesby Jolson, that's me. But yeah, if you got my given name, that does show up in there, I think. I forgot about that. I'm not too worried about that though. Let me see here. Hello, Ruby. I don't know how to say that second part of your name, so I'm gonna not do it because I don't want to mess it up. Giovanna said something just a minute ago. She said, we are all beginners as we don't know everything. I have something to share with you guys. Since you brought that up, if I can find the graphic of this block, I'll find it in a minute. But I was watching the channel is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this channel. It's called vidIQ. I think they might be tied to YouTube in some way because you can get your channel stats from an email from that channel part, because that's where I get a lot of my stats from. I don't pay to have it, but they still email information about it. But he said something yesterday that really struck a chord because he was talking about small channels and that so many small channels are worried they will never grow. And what he had to say about it was it really struck a chord with me. And I'm like, okay, then I don't worry about it, But I'll find the saying and I'll read it to you because it was really good. It was the first line was, I am not an expert. He wanted us to say this to ourselves. I am not an expert. And I thought, no, none of us are. We're still learning. Okay. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Savannah says fun.
I think the quote is from Abraham Lincoln, if I remember correctly. If it's not, I'm sure the chat will correct me, but I believe it's something to the effect of the moment we stop learning is the day that we start dying. And that's such a true statement in because every day it seems like I'll learn at the very least a little tidbit of information.
Yeah, I always tell someone when you stop learning, you're 6 foot under. And I know that sounds, I don't know, not negative, but you know what I mean. But it's true. I mean, what you just said. I think that if we stop learning to do things, then what is our purpose? Even in Italian, the TH is not there, says Giovanna. Ah, I didn't know that. That would explain, because over here, when you say my given name, which is Catherine, here it's Katrin. So it totally leaves that you roll off your tongue. Jaja Brownie says, I'm learning a lot today. Sandy Ryan, hello. She says, hi, Katie, Ann, and John. Katie, you do beautiful work all the time. I love watching your shows. Aw, thank you so much, Sandy. And then Andy says, YouTube is a marathon. Just keep showing up, Katie. That's right. There are times when I'm like, like, this summer, now this week I haven't been working at all. I'm not talking about the YouTube, I'm talking about tour guiding. But there are times when I question my sanity when I'm tour guiding through the day, and then like last week I had 2 days in a row where I was tour guiding, and on the second day I had a live schedule for 7:30. Guess who didn't get home until after 7:30? So I was trying to figure out how to either move the time on my live or just cancel it using my phone. And do you know I couldn't figure it out because I do everything on my laptop. I don't do any of it on my phone. So I was like, oh my God, they're probably thinking, what's happened to her, So as soon as I got home, I wrote something on the post and said what was going on, and I just went ahead and canceled it because there was no way I could get my head screwed on straight soon enough for the live, because I was already brain tired from all the talking I had been doing, because I took 95 people through the tannery, and that was 3 groups. The first group was 35, the second one was 30, and the third one was 30, and I only got like a 5-minute break between each one of them. And I made money that day, so can't complain about that part. Hey Sherry, welcome. Believe it or not,
Are there days you wish it was a don'tery instead of a cannery?
Yeah, and I got that. You know what the biggest take from doing tour guiding is? It gives me a chance. How do I say this in a really positive way? When you get tourists come through, they have misconceptions in their brain because they hear things. And misinformation is the MF of all F ups. You know what I'm saying? And people don't take the time to go and look these things up to see if this is really fact or fiction. So when they come into the tannery or on a city tour, and they'll say, we heard that Greenlanders take bats and kill baby seals for the white fur. That's so not true. And when I start talking, and the way I approach this is I talk about the fact that the Inuits have this ethical thing that dates back 5,000 years, and it's all about respecting nature. And back when they were pagan, they had a fear of Mother of the Sea, because Mother of the Sea controlled everything. She controlled nature, she controlled the animals, and if you did something bad to nature, or you inhumanely or dispatched an animal, and then you couldn't go fishing or hunting because there was no food, then they would go talk to the shaman, and the shaman would go do his thing with Mother of the Sea. And so they teach this, every generation, you only take what you need, you don't take more, and if you have more, give to those that don't have it. And you'll see that. I've seen that a lot here, especially in this town. When someone takes a big animal and they take what they need, and then they come up to the fresh fish market, and the government doesn't control any of the fish market down there. It's you come and go as you want. There's not taxes on it. They don't come in and, like, what did you call it, the Food and Drug Administration will come in and say, no, you can't sell fish that way or whatever. We don't have any of that. It's not regulated because it's regulated by the hunters and fishermen. And so a lot of times when you get tourists, they come in and they ask these questions. So you get a chance to talk about culture and uh, about the history. And by the time they leave there, like this last week, I was totally satisfied by the time I come home, because when you see smiles on tourists' face and they tell you that they learned a lot and they enjoyed it, that's something. So they get to go back and say, well, Giovanna says, you were right, Katie. Joan Reed says, yes, you are right. I learn something new every day. I'm 72 and I learned quite a lot from all the content creators that I watch, and I watch a lot of you. Aw, I appreciate that. And then Linda says, I'm getting ready to go out to eat, but have been lurking. Happy Saturday, everyone. Love hearing about your culture. You know what? It's Ian, do you think you have a culture? Have you ever given it thought? Let me ask both of you. If someone asked you what your culture was, would you have an answer for that? Because when I moved here, I didn't even know what culture was. And then when I realized what it was, I realized I didn't have a culture of my own.
Sorry, I'm just kind of
Giving that thought.
Yeah, like giving it thought and thinking about my response instead of just like blurting something out and being like, but like, so technically I would say yes, I have a culture. The one that I most closely identify with would be LGBTQ culture
Yeah.
and that. So I have that culture. But I mean, there's many times that we identify and relate with multiple cultures. So depending on where you are in life and depending on your background and things like that, you may identify in several different cultures, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. What about you, John?
I was going to say, I think of it more as heritage, right? Because
Mhm.
I grew up in Kentucky, so I am very Southern. My mother told me I was very Southern. So, we have our ways and, bless your heart and all those good things. And then I lived in South Carolina for a few years and I realized there was another South. And
Yeah,
so that was a much different South than the one I grew up in. And at some point worked in Alabama for a while, and it was even more different. But growing up in a bigger city, but living in the mountains and being in some of the rural areas and that, it definitely had its culture and shaped. It had a lot of influence on who I became.
yeah. And I think that one of the biggest things one of the biggest things I learned about the word culture and what it means to someone is, if you let your culture disappear, then you kind of disappear. Does that make sense?
Oh, I
And
think so.
I think that's why so many groups of people fight to keep their culture. Like here in Greenland, it's trying to keep the native language, which is the Inuit language, which we all call Greenlandic. And it's not just about that. It's their their integration between them and nature. Um, this past year, there's been lots of discussions about Greenland, and one of the things, and I didn't even understand this until about 3 weeks ago when someone sat down and we were talking about this. And this is what they said to me when a Greenlander says Greenland is not for sale. And I made a comment to something to that effect to my brother-in-law, not brother-in-law, son-in-law, and he made the comment, every country's for sale. What people don't realize is when a Greenlander says Greenland's not for sale, that's not how they mean it. We all live on this island. We have houses on this island. There's apartments on this island. There's businesses on this island. No one owns the land that all of this sits on. Guess who this land belongs to? Everyone. So anything that happens here, the collective makes decisions. So in this town, like if we wanted to add on the back of our house and make it bigger, we would have to talk to our neighbors and see how they feel about that, because some neighbors don't want this. Well, right now there's rules down here by the lake anyway, but I'm just pointing out that I didn't realize that part of the culture was actually how they look at the land itself. They realize that they're here to be a steward of it, not own it. And so Greenland is actually the Greenlandic people.
I think it's interesting too because I was a planetarium console operator for a while. My dad was planetarium director for a period, and then when he moved to another institution, I started working the console operation for the planetarium. And one of my favorite things was that yes, we all have different cultures, but sometimes it's interesting when those cultures accidentally overlap because the
Yeah.
Pleiades, which is a group of 7 stars in the constellation of Taurus, um, there are 6 stars that are very bright and a 7th star that is kind of dim. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting because the different cultures from around the world all saw those 7 stars as 7 sisters. Now, the story changes a little bit between Native Americans and I think the Romans and what was the third one? They listed off 3 different cultures, and all of them saw the 7 sisters, and one culture saw it as um, the 7th star being the dimmest was shamed for whatever reason. One of them was because that person she married a mortal. Another one was for this and for that. So even though these cultures hadn't met, or at least didn't meet that we know of, they still had the same similar story about
Mm-hmm.
those 7 stars and how they ended up being like that. And I love stories and cultural information like that because it shows how much alike we are and how connected we are without actually realizing it.
Yeah, it's like this. I don't know I don't know if there's any stories in the United States about what a story about the Northern Lights, but with the Inuits, the story about the Northern Lights are their ancestors are bowling with a walrus head, and that's what makes the Northern Lights do that curtain effect because it's rolling around on ice. So it's an interesting story about that. It's taken, I've been here, I'm fixing to be 14 years on the 18th of this month, and I'm still, when I first started out, I didn't know anything about Greenland other than it was the largest island in the world. That's all I knew about it. I didn't know anything else about it. And then after about 3 years, I started learning things. Like when we had history class in the United States, I don't recall ever hearing a discussion about the fact that United States had Greenland in its protection during World War II because Denmark was occupied by the Nazis at the time during World War II. I didn't know that. So when I started doing some digging, and there's lots of things in this town. There's Stone and Man, and it started out being like 25 carved open museum pieces, and now we're up to like 45. But there's one stone carving that sits in near town square, and it's of a woman. And I had asked over the last 10 years, who is she? And the younger generation couldn't answer that question. And one day I went strolling into the museum, and they had a new director. And I said, I'm still, maybe you can help me. How do I look up what this carving's about? Because I've asked over the last 10 years, and tourists ask me constantly whenever I do city tours who she is, what she's about. And then I finally got her name, and her name's really long. And then he gave me some printouts about her. And the interesting thing is she was the first Inuit woman who went out with Rasmussen and Charles Lindbergh, and everybody knows who that is. He's an American who was best friends with Rasmussen, and they traveled 18,000 kilometers in the Arctic together, the three of them. And she's the backbone of the whole expedition because she knew how to live the Inuit way, how to keep warm, how to feed, make sure they got plenty of the right kinds of foods to eat while they were doing all this. And then my husband calls me one day when he's in Nuuk. He says, I'm at the bookstore. I'm like, okay, what you gonna bring home this time? Because he always tries to look for books about Greenland that are in English so that I can read, because I love to read. He says, I found a book in English about the Greenlandic woman and her expeditions with Rasmussen and Lindbergh. And I'm like, oh, really? I got to have that book. I was really excited about it. Come to find out, they didn't just travel Greenland, they traveled a lot of the Arctic together too, which means they went to Canada, they went to Alaska. It was pretty darn amazing. I'm going to go backwards because I missed a bunch of chit chat. Sorry. Giovanna, sorry, I get excited when I start talking about stuff. Giovanna says, I relate mostly with Kenyan culture. I met a nice Kenyan person too, by the way, from the cruise ship. He told me some stuff I didn't know. She says, I relate mostly to Kenyan culture where the young take care of the old and also the respect of wildlife. In Native American Chickasaw and half European American mix, Linda says, I'm Native American Chickasaw and half European American mix. I definitely identify with my Native culture and my European American mixed culture, both. Linda says, however, while I am Chickasaw by blood, was raised in the OGV, is that how you say it? Please tell me, because I know I just said that wrong. Culture, only known is here. Let me spell it. It's OJIBWE. Anyone tell me how to pronounce that?
I've heard it before, but I can't even do names hardly correct at all.
I can't remember how to say
it.
Yeah,
I've definitely heard it, but I can't remember how to say it.
So she only knows that culture and language. Sandy says, John, I moved from growing up in Arkansas mostly to Louisiana and then to Alabama. I've been teased about my Southern accent for years. I love being a Southerner. So when people hear my accent, they can't figure out where my accent's from. But I think that's because it's because Florida's different. Florida has so many ethnic people. Like the first from age 5 until 12, age 5 to 13, we lived in South Florida. So there's a completely different kind of group of people that live down there. And then when he moved us to North Florida, that is completely different too. And then there's these little small towns like McClenny. I can never think of this one little town because I don't know, I always forget the name of it. When you hear someone from McClenny, they sound like they're from Alabama. The other town that I'm talking about that I can't think of the name of, they sound even more like they come from the backwoods than the other people from McClenny do. And it's like there's like little tiny pockets of this southern stuff you hear from Georgia and Alabama, or maybe even Louisiana. But with me, you can't hear any of that. And I think it's because I've been around so many different people that maybe I've not picked up that dialect. And my mother, my mother was from Jasper, Alabama, and my dad was from Georgia. And so dad didn't sound like a Georgian at all. And my mom, the only time you knew she was from Alabama was when she would say something like, I'm as happy as a pig in slop.
I know what that means.
I even say that sometimes because I was raised around pigs, and a lot of people don't understand that analogy. They think, oh my God, they live in mud. That's not what we're talking about. My mom would take a bucket, and every day she would throw all the leftover foods into that bucket. Then she would put some pig feed in the bucket, and she would fill that bucket full of water and let it sit for 30 minutes. Then she'd go down to the pig pen, and they had these big troughs to eat in, and she'd dump that whole wet stuff in the feed bucket. And pigs are crazy for it. You'll see their tails twirling around and squealing and diving their whole head into that mess. That's what that means.
Well, it's funny
because when a pig's happy.
It was funny because we went to South Carolina for vacation this year, and of course, when I come back, everybody at work goes, "Oh yeah, you were in the South again, right?" Because my accent starts coming back really strong. But my partner, it was the first time that he had been East Coast and never been in South Carolina. And several places we'd go, he'd turn around and go, I don't know what she's asking. I don't understand it. And I was like, really? Her accent's not that strong, but he grew up in Washington State. And so,
so that's northern stuff.
Yeah. So when you start getting down really south, it was like, you go,
yeah.
I don't, I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't understand her.
I kind of, I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, me and my sister,
Hmm.
on the Navy base. But you would never know it hearing us because we definitely, unless I say something that does sound like y'all, I do use that word a lot, even now, But I've had to leave all of my slang out here because when you use it here, you get blank looks. John, let's see. Wait. Andy says, Ian, I agree. Humans are more alike than different. It is so helpful to listen to an individual rather than make assumptions based on our limited perspective. Yeah, it's funny you say that, Andy. My sister, my youngest sister, Karen, she's lived in Spain now for 39 years, I think, because it's either 38 or 39, because she went to Spain a month after Lynette was born, which is my oldest child. And she used to come home and she would say stuff. And I'm like, you sound so un-American when you say stuff like that. And I didn't understand why she would say stuff. But since I've moved to this country, it's like I understand what she was talking about. We have such a limited perspective sometimes as Americans. We don't realize like certain sayings don't necessarily mean, or there's one saying in particular that we've grown up hearing all of our lives, and then when you go to another country, you're like, wait a minute, the United States is not the only free country in the world. And so it's quite,
I have a very
mind-boggling.
I have a very important question for your sister.
Okay.
Does the rain in Spain fall mainly in the plains?
I will have
And you
to
got to
ask
do
her
that
that.
again. You got to get it right the first
You
time.
get it
Do
right the
again.
first time.
I can't do it. It's the
I know, it's
dyslexia.
like
It
saying
messes up my brain too much.
Yep. It's like saying Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. She shall, right, she shall.
Yeah, it's like Andy says, Linda, I really enjoyed reading William Kent Kruger's novels that describe a little of the, oh, y'all got to help me out. How do you say that word? OBG? Or is it OBWE? Or maybe it's OYE. It could be that. I don't know. Either way, y'all know what I'm talking about. And then Giovanna says, Ian, in Greek mythology, you have the muses. I guess I said that right. Muses.
Muses.
The muses, yeah, the muses, similar to the Greek muses in theater.
Yeah, and then she says they were 7. Linda put it up here. Ojibwe. Oh, Ojibwe. Okay, I know that was not.
That's it.
Proper.
That's it. There you go.
Ojibwe. Okay, thank you, you two. Her and Savannah wrote out how to say it. It's like me with Greenlandic. Oh my God. Sometimes. Hi, Joe. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Rita. Welcome, welcome. Giovanna says the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plains.
What I was trying to say, but stumbled over it. I was like, I was so prepared for it. I was so prepared to say it, and then I fell on my face.
Yep. Wait. Deanna says, John, I love the wall quilt. Is there a pattern? That's what I want to know. I asked you that on a live, but you didn't see it.
Oh, no, it's actually a panel. So
I want that one.
Yeah, so it's a panel that I found that says quilt stitch, pins, sew buttons, friends, threads, fabric, and I decided I wouldn't do any more panels. And so I ended up buying that panel, and I had started grabbing a bunch of, anytime I see sewing related fabric that's in the rainbows, I grab it. So this has got rainbow sewing machines all around it. And so I ended up just putting just a double border on it, and then I free motioned it on my sit down long arm.
Yeah. Giovanna says you will get there, Katie. My fair lady, and then she says, Giovanna says, my fair lady is beautiful film and story. Yeah, the Greenlandic, I have about 60 word vocabulary now. Now, I still struggle with several words, but one of them I'm getting better at. I'm finally getting where I can almost say Enga Samu. And the taxi driver that was talking to me about when I was saying it the other day said, I need to make the moot heavier. So when I say, and got some moot, that means take me home. So, but it has this little, it has two consonants sitting in the middle of it, which is an RL, and the RL is treated like the double L, and it's you're supposed to put the tongue at the top of your mouth behind your teeth, and when you make the sound, you have sound coming out of your cheeks when you say the two sounds. When I hear it, it sounds like it's shh, like that. But as Nikolai and everybody else keeps pointing to me here, it is not an S sound, which is what you just heard me do. It sounded like a S sound. But when I hear it, I hear S in it, but there's not an S in it. So it's
Well, Americans are so spoiled, right? Because everybody
yeah.
speaks English, right? So I mean, I years ago had to travel to Sweden, Germany,
Well, then you're
Italy
familiar
for
with how
work,
Sweden talk, yeah.
and they all speak English, starting in elementary school, and they're like, "Well, you Americans are the ones that." And I'm like, "Well, what language would I pick?" Right? I would have never thought I needed Italian. I would have never, definitely didn't think Swedish. It's like it's tough for us to find another language when everybody else is speaking English.
I think that if we all, I kind of wish that instead of waiting till you're in your like junior high school, which is now middle school, or high school, early high school years, ninth and 10th grade, when they start introducing foreign language, they should have introduced some foreign language in elementary years, so you could, because I think that, like with my husband, he speaks three languages, but he understands some other languages too. And I think that when you're young and you're learning to speak more than one language, your brain gets trained to pick up on other languages that might be similar in nature. Like I used to could speak Spanish. I took 2 college semesters of Spanish. But the old saying is if you don't use it, you lose it. I could still read quite a bit of it, but you can forget about me saying much of it anymore. Now, sometimes when I hear someone speaking Spanish, I'm like, oh, I know what they just said, which is amazing. But yeah, the other thing I've had to learn because we're English speaking people is when you see certain consonants or vowels, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be said that way. Like the E sound here is an I sound, and the I sound is an E sound, and the P is a D sound, and the T is a, no, wait, P is a B sound, T is a D sound. And it boggles your brain because you're like, oh, wait, I've been, you know, for 2 years, I didn't say my last name right. You heard me say Jolson earlier. That's not the way it's said. It just helps you guys because when I say it that way, you can kind of in your brain know how to spell it. It's actually Yolson. The J's here are the ya sound like a Y that you and I have been raised to use as that, like yellow.
Yeah, it's also interesting too because I took Latin in high school and then having to deal with masculine, feminine, and neuter, and then all different languages using those, such as French, having masculine, feminine, and neuter, and having to figure out, okay, the pen is, and I'm going to get it wrong because it's been so long since I've studied any of it, but like the pen is masculine, the pencil
Yep.
is feminine, and it's like I thought it would be neuter because literally it's not a gender, but it is in there in that language. So it's interesting all the little nuances and everything. Although I will say taking Latin has helped as a dyslexic. It has helped my understanding of the English language and even a little bit of other languages, Romance languages, which are connected to Latin.
Yeah, usually if you can understand quite a bit of Spanish, you can almost understand some Italian. Not all of it, but quite a bit of it. There's a similarity sometimes with certain words, but and the other thing that I've noticed with Danish is there is some words in Danish that are the same definition that it is in English. Um, and I told Nikolai, I don't remember what word it was I heard the first time, but he says it's the same thing as what you say in English. It's just said in a different way, but it's still the same word meaning the same thing. And I'm like, oh. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
can,
remember one of the guys that I worked with, I asked him, he was German, and I asked him, I said, when you think about a process or something, as we work together in manufacturing, I said, do you think in English or German? And he goes, actually, he said, like screwdriver in German is, like 80 characters long. He said, so I think in English now. He said, actually, English is simpler. And I thought, how interesting. You would think your native language would be, kind of like your default. But he said it just really depended on what the topic was.
yep, yep. The other,
Well,
one of the things,
when the Germans have the word for butterfly sounding more like a strong insult, I would rather, I don't know that I would choose German over English. However, I'm making a complete joke, everyone. I'm just joking with everybody. Becca and Mary and I were talking about that the other day because there's a video that like compares English and French and Italian and Spanish and all the languages, and they have such wonderful words for butterfly, and then the German word sounds very harsh and very hard, and you're just like, ooh.
like, really? I asked Nikolai, sometimes I'll watch Nikolai and we'll run into 2 or 3 different groups of people when we're all talking together. And I'll be bending his ear in English. Someone's bending his ear in Danish, and someone else is speaking Greenlandic. And I watch him because it's totally amazing because you don't even see him like hesitate. It's like his brain automatically goes from this language to this language to this language without any struggling going on. And I'm like, how do you do that? I don't know. I just do it.
Hmm.
I'm always proud of myself when I hear something in Greenlandic that I actually know what they're saying. Because I really try to listen to stuff.
I took American Sign Language as my foreign language in college. I started off in German, but that went downhill very quickly. And so I had to drop German and I went for American Sign Language. And I hate that I don't have as much, like you said, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I've lost most of it.
That's interesting you brought up the sign language. Do you know that well, she's 5 now, but my oldest daughter was teaching her daughter, which is my youngest granddaughter, sign language at age 2 years old. And Ava would sit there and do sign language. And I'm like, did you teach her sign? Yep. Because, most kids are not very verbal between 1 to 3. It depends on the child. I mean, Lynette wasn't verbal. There was nothing wrong with Lynette. Lynette just didn't talk, at 2 or 2.5. Kristen, on the other hand, oh my God, she was talking your ear off at 15 months old. You could never shut her up. And but with Ava was the same. She was quiet, she was reserved, but Lynette would get her to talk using sign language. And so the first time I saw her doing sign language, I said, how long has she been doing this? It's for a year. And she was 3. And you know what was even more amazing is she knew all her colors and she could count to 100 and she could write her name at 3 years old. I thought that was pretty cool. So and now Lynette's trying to get her into some kind of charter school, and there's a waiting list for this charter school. And it's for kids who are a little more advanced than the rest, but they teach foreign language, and Lynette wants her to learn Spanish. And I think that's great. Because, do you know what Florida means in Spanish?
I've heard it before, but I don't remember.
It's the flower.
I think it's interesting because people from my channel have heard this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. I used to work at a library system, and I am dyslexic. And a lot of times I would have parents and adults that would come in because we would do summer reading programs for teens and kids, but we'd also have adult program, summer reading program. And for however many books you read, you got to check things off the list and you'd get entered for prizes and all that kind of stuff. I had so many adults come to me, or when I would say, hey, we have a summer reading program for adults, they would be like, oh, I just listen to audiobooks. Those aren't real books. I can't really participate. And I would have to be like, no, no, audiobooks are definitely books. There was a study done where somebody who didn't have dyslexia was given an MRI and they scanned their brain and looked at like what parts lit up in their brain. Is it an MRI? CAT scan? Whatever it is. There would be a certain part of their brain that would light up as they were reading text. And somebody with dyslexia would do the same thing, except they would have an audiobook in. They wouldn't be reading it, they were just an audiobook. The same exact part of their brain lit up. So it's engaging with the same exact part of the brain as somebody who doesn't have dyslexia and reads a book. So I always stress to everybody who's like, oh, reading an audiobook is cheating, or oh, reading an audiobook isn't actually reading. I disagree with you, and it is reading.
Do you know how Nikolai got so proficient with English? He would buy audiobooks, because he liked, I forget what that one book series, it's murder mysteries or something like that. They've made movies like the Jack Ryan ones. And he told me he has an enormous library of audiobooks, and about 80% of them are actually in English. And he did that so that he could get proficient in English. And we all know it's a known fact, the more you read, the better your vocabulary is, and the better you understand of things. And so whenever he's home, we'll be listening to audiobooks instead of sitting down and side by side and just reading to each other.
I was going to say Sesame Street. He learned through Sesame Street.
Even though they had a Sesame Street over here. So here, there's fixing to be a big change where, all right, so they start out with Greenlandic, even in kindergarten. Danish is not introduced until the 2nd grade, and English is not introduced until 5th grade. But now they're about to switch it where it's English in the 2nd grade and Danish in the 5th, or leave it up to whether a Greenlander even wants to learn Danish. And they're doing that because our world, a lot of countries have English as an additional language, so that people, when they go somewhere, can actually talk to someone. Or, like us with the tourism, I'm seeing more and more Greenlanders now speaking English that are working the tourist part, and it's making it easier for them to deal with tourists who speak English.
Katie, I'm curious because you were talking about like your work and everything. This is kind of jumping a little bit backwards, but do they have, because we have state fairs here, do they have like competitions similar to that where you are?
No, not right now. Well, not in the way you and I think of it. They do have what they call the Arctic Games, which they've already posted a posting about. The Arctic Games going to happen in, I think they're moving them to earlier in the winter if there's enough snowfall on the lake to do the Arctic Games. And then they also have, in the summer, they have something called CrossFit competition, I think is what it's called. But outside of that, and they have kayak competition, and those kayak competitions go from every year, it's at a different location in Greenland. So they all have to travel to wherever it's at. And so here in our town, we've hosted it twice since I've lived here. And they also have some sledge dog competition where they travel across an enormous amount of ice with their dogs. And that usually starts in Sissimut, and it's usually in the winter months when they do that. But outside of that, they do have a handball team, I think that they were trying to get into the Olympics with the handball. But the summer games for the Olympics, 2 Greenlanders qualified to be in the summer games. It's going to be in the next Olympics. But normally you will never, and I don't know if it's going to be up underneath the Greenlandic flag or up underneath the Danish flag, because Denmark still controls that portion. They control foreign affairs, military, and a couple other things. And also, if a Greenlander wins a competition, they end up being up underneath the Danish flag instead of up underneath the Greenlandic flag. But now they're having a discussion about that because that's not fair. So I know that's a vague answer. There is some things going to happen here in this town. They're having a town meeting tomorrow, and I wish Nikolai was home so he could go sit through it. They're planning on doing some changes that will help young people have things that they can do. And one of them is they're going to build a skate park. That's one of them. And then they're also going to set up some, I don't know which mountain this is going to be done at, but during the winter months, they're going to be doing snowboarding. And so they got to set up one part of this mountain for the snowboarding. And so that'll give them some things that they can do in the winter months to prepare for the Arctic Games, because snowboarding is a big deal these days when you go to winter games. You know, it's a really big thing. And I asked Nikolai, I said, how come they're not doing snowboarding? How come you don't have ice skaters? How come you don't have this and that? And he's like, I don't know the answer to most of what you're asking me. And it boils down to money and infrastructure, I think. Because you got to have infrastructure to, to do that kind of thing. They do play soccer though, they call it football here. And in December during the Christmas holidays, the Danish Navy comes in and competes against the local team here on the soccer field. And they'll spend the whole week here competing against each other. So I think that's fun too. So Rita says, wait, I got more catching up to do. Oh my gosh. Let's see. So someone did. Hey, Eric. All right, let's see here. We got to go back a ways. I didn't even know Eric was here. Oh my God, I missed a bunch of stuff while we were talking. Wow, I missed a lot of stuff. They're gone. All right, Joan Reed wants to know, John and Ian, what are you two working on? That's the first one. Stop, Nora.
I'm working on the Spectral Sensation quilt kit. I was given this kit by Northcott. They wanted me to do some social media stuff for them, so I have told them that I would do this back in February, and here we are, August? So I need to get working on it. So hopefully I can get this wrapped up soon. And it's using the Patrick Luce glisten fabric. I don't know if it's blurred out there, but it's like this glisten fabric is some of the coolest fabric I've ever seen. I love it.
Yeah. And John, she wanted to know what you were working on too.
I am working on Christmas gifts. So I'm working on hot pad runners, and I am making them for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So there's one that I've got the top done at least.
Great.
So
that's awesome.
Trying to get ahead.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Giovanna says, I am lucky. I grew up in a melting pot city where you had people from all over the world, and I could understand mostly everyone who speaks English. And then let me see here. Giovanna says the rain in Spain. Oh, we already repeated that one. And then Deanna says, yeah, we talked about that too. Okay. All right. Rita says, I'm doing good to understand typos, haha. Now having to understand do what? Ha 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 ha. And then Deanna says, I absolutely love it. Hey, Eric, welcome, welcome. He says, I'm on the road, so I'll be listening in the background. And they're telling him safe driving. And then Joe says, Rita, saw your video, beautiful block. Rita says, thank you, Joe. And then Sherry says, Rita, you are too funny. Then Andrea's here. She says, howdy, friends. I am watching on my TV while I sew, but wanted to say, howdy. And then Rita says, oh my God, you mean I have to now learn English? I like speaking fabric typos, ha ha. And then Giovanna says, I am lucky that I learned a language that has Arabic and Bantu in it so I can learn quickly. You know what? Bantu's in my DNA. Let me see. Robin says they were teaching Spanish in elementary school in Miami in the 60s. Well, see, that's because there's Cubans down in Miami. That's all that a bigger part of that population speaks Spanish. So that does make sense. But when you're in North Florida, they don't even introduce it in elementary school. And then Eric says, I'm an expert at gibberish. That's a foreign language, right? And then Joyce says, there is a physical component to language for sure. Some with muscles in the mouth. Yeah, and there's also something I've learned recently about Greek. Nora, stop. Facial, the way they do their eyes when they use their eyes in a certain way, and like if they raise their, I don't know exactly how it goes, but one means no and one means yes without them ever saying a word. And I'm like, oh, now I have to learn that too. Let's see. Rita says, yes, that is fabric gibberish. I like it. Yes. And then Giovanna says, here they teach English in kindergarten. Then Andrea says, laugh out loud, Eric. That is the only language I can speak. So I guess it is, at least for the US. Giovanna says, that is Italian for you, Ian. And the interesting thing is, when I got made friends with Michael and Melanie, who live in New York, and Michael's family migrated from Italy when he was a baby. And the first time I said Italian, oh my God. He's like, young lady, you cannot say that way. That is incorrect. It's Italian, not Italian. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. I'm from the South, remember? And let me see. Giovanna says she understands Spanish. And then Eric says, how about Pig Latin? And then Giovanna says, Eric, what is Pig Latin? And Joshua, oh, hi, Joshua. He says, Latin salve. And I can't read the rest of that because that's not even, that's another language. Is quid aegis hodi, I think is how you say it. Could be wrong. Giovanna says he thinks in the language he speaks, that is how. Joyce says that is a quite fluent when you can do 3 languages in a conversation. Yes, it is. It's always amazing to watch that. Then Rita says, Sigh, it is an amazing language which all my dogs are trained with sign instead of talking. Yeah, I use sign and German commands for my German Shepherds. And I use sign language with Nora from time to time, but specific, just simple stuff. Savannah says, I had a professor from the Crow Nation come give a talk about preserving the Absoluki, and I bet I said that wrong, language, and integrating words like computer was really interesting because their language is descriptive. Greenlandic is like one, here's an example. To say I love you, it's asavaket. So it's one word. I miss you, maka asavaket, all one word. The longest word in Greenlandic is 159 letters. Savannah says, a computer would be a box that calculates, displays words and stories. Joyce says, this is a good idea about audiobooks to help support learning another language. Yeah. Joyce says, Savannah, that is so interesting. Would like that talk. And Giovanna says, the only difference is that reading it myself, you give the emotions to the books. Same thing like watching a film after reading a book. The film sucks. Yeah, I get that part. Then Rita says, Joy, that is like my birth name. I am Italian name for Daisy, which is Margarita, which I know that's not how it's said. But too many did not pronounce it right, so just changed it to Rita, which makes good sense because some of us butcher names. I am good about doing that. Then Savannah says, I have a friend who went into a similar specialty and she now teaches at the college in Wyoming. I only took the one anthropology class, but I loved it. Deanna wants to know, what is a hot pad runner, John?
So basically, it's just to go under your pots, right? So when you take something off the stove, instead of setting it on your countertop and that, it's a, for your casserole dishes, your hot dishes. So help protect your countertops or table.
All right, I'm going to paste this in the channel, and I bet it exceeds what we're allowed to type in each. Hang on. Someone just asked what the 153 letters were. Hold on. Here it comes. Here is the word. That's the word. Now, what it means is it describes a complex scenario involving people considering the establishment of a consortium to build a small radio station. Meaning, so yeah, and that's an entire word. Hang on, I'll see if I can find the exact translation. So Greenlandic is a polysynthetic language, for those that didn't know that.
It's like that place in the UK that is a million characters long, and the last part of the name is like go go goff or something like that. And
it also states that the word was rarely ever said out loud, but it had to do with the radio station. They have somewhere I have a picture of what it means. Let me see if I can figure it out. It says, oh, here's what it says. It says, it means something along the lines of there were reports that they apparently, God knows for how many times, once again had considered whatever my poor condition, despite still could be considered to be quite adept and resourceful as an initiator to put a consortium together for the establishment of a range of small radio stations. That's the definition of it. Mouthful, huh? See, like I want to learn how to say have a nice day. Apparently, the word is very long and I will probably struggle with saying it for some time. Get down, Nora.
Do you know the most important word, though?
The most important word? You mean I love you?
Well, I mean, that one's good, but I was thinking of bathroom. I think that's the most important word.
Do you know what a lot of them call it? And you and I as an American will be like, no, we were not trained to say it that way. They just say, I'm going to the toilet. Or the VC. And all the bathrooms in town, wherever they are, it says WC on the outside of it, which is VC, not WC.
Yeah, for water closet. That comes from the Europeans and the British.
The first time I said I'm going to the bathroom, they're like, what? Oh no, I was asking where the bathroom was, and they're like, what are you talking about? I need to go to the toilet. And they're like, oh, the toilet. Oh my gosh. It's been a real treat learning how to have conversation sometimes, but it's so much easier now than it was when I first moved here. The first 2 years of living here, I would come home and cry my eyeballs out because I would just get beaten up by the language. No one was, and what I mean by that, I don't mean like people were beating me up or people were being verbally mean. No, what I mean is when you go in a store and you're looking for something specific and you can't explain what it is you want and you don't know where to find it. And you looked all over the store and couldn't find what it was you were after because you couldn't read any of the Danish in the store. But now I can read the Danish, so I'm not stuck. Every now and then I'll come across something and I'll be like, okay, what does this mean? And then I'll take a picture of it, send it to Nikolai, and he's like, oh, this means this. Can you hear Nora whining?
Sometimes, yeah.
You know what she wants, right? No.
Is it food time?
Yes, it is. And she's not going to let me go until I give her something. But I'm trying to teach her that if she barks at me, she's not getting anything. Go get in your bed and I'll think about it. Bed. Bed. I think she associates my live videos with it's time to EAT. I can't spell the F word out because she knows what it means now. Not the F bomb. Not the F bomb. I saw that. Did you guys you guys missed something? Let me give her a piece of chicken and then I'll tell you what happened on one of my lives the other day, about 3 weeks ago.
I want to talk about Ian's cruise and his captain's hat and all the fun he's got coming up.
It's going to be a fun time for sure. I'm excited about it. For those who don't know, myself, Becca, and Tiffany are hosting an Alaskan cruise in 2026, an Alaskan quilting cruise. We're very excited about it. We're going to be going out of Seattle and we'll be out on in Alaska for it's a 7-night cruise. Very excited about it. Been working on the project behind the scenes that we'll be sewing, and it's just going to be a great time. I'm excited. Are you going to be there?
We're already jelly, right? Because you get to be with Becca all the time, and now you've got Tiffany coming out, and like we've looked at it. We're trying to figure out if that's financially what we want to do. But
sure,
I love Celebrity, right? You couldn't have picked a better cruise line.
Well, we have some really great travel agents. The guys at RG Travels, like they're really great, and they were the ones that they were like, okay, we were like, which cruise line are we going to be on? And Becca threw out Carnival, and they were like, oh no. And it was like, oh, okay. And when they told us it was Celebrity, I got really excited because I actually followed Captain Kate for a while, especially during the pandemic. And she was the captain of one of the Celebrity cruises, I believe the Edge, if I remember correctly, on social media. She no longer works for Celebrity, unfortunately, anymore. But I've been very familiar with the Celebrity cruise line, and I'm very excited to be cruising on the Edge. So and I don't mean cruising on the edge of the world or anything like that. The ship is literally named the Edge. So but yeah, I'm super excited for that. Can't wait for next year. And there's only 383 days, but who's counting?
Nope. I've done a lot on Royal for years. I've been loyal to Royal. Or a frequent floater, as they call us. And but their sister is Celebrity, and of course everything transposes over, as far as my Emerald status and all that. And the first time I went on a Celebrity ship, I was like, wow, like night and day, because I've always thought Royal was great, but just the level of service is so much higher on Celebrity, and it's like I would have never thought there could even be a difference because.
Well, this will be my first cruise, so I've never experienced a cruise ship before. So it's gonna be a fun experience, and I'm excited to share it with Becca and Tiffany, and of course everybody who's going on the cruise. I know a lot of familiar names that are going on the cruise, so I think it's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to do it. And I think everyone's gonna love the project. We haven't announced what the project is, but I'm working on it behind the scenes, and I'm excited to do it. We're both Becca and I are going to put together an example, so that way we have an example for everyone to see whenever we do announce it. And I will give you a hint. It uses Juicy Juice fabric, so there you go.
Oh, there
at
you
least
go.
For me, mine uses Juicy Juice fabric. That's the cool thing, is we're going to let everybody pick their fabric of choice, and I think it's going to be a really fun project.
Some of us is going to be suffering from FOMO.
Right.
Yeah.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yep. It's going to be fun, but there will be other opportunities in the future. I feel like this is the start of more fun things to come in the future.
No, and it's nice that you picked West Coast, right? So that's another thing that appealed to us, because now that I'm out here, I get so tired of having to fly to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, so
Yeah,
I got to
yeah,
fly 5 hours across the country and then make a 3 hour time. It's like,
yeah.
wow.
I
Yep.
think we're still very much preliminarily talking about what the future looks like and
Mhm.
what's after the Alaskan cruise and stuff like that. But we've thrown out like we're doing West Coast this time. Maybe we'll do something on the East Coast next time, so that way, it gives
Come
everybody come all the way to Greenland, says Katie.
You can now
Um,
fly. You can now fly to Greenland between June and September. So come on, you
there you
guys.
go, there you go. But yeah, I think we're still very much in talks and figuring out what the next step is. But for the moment, Alaska is super exciting. And if you want more info, if your audience wants more information about that, sorry to do a shameless plug, but I'm going to do a
It's
shameless
okay.
plug. You can check out my website, offkiltercrafterian.com/Alaska, to get all the details. And if you want to contact the travel company, you can. Or if you want to sign up, you can use that link on the website to sign up for the cruise.
I need to catch up in the chat real quick because there's some comments made. And hey, Shelby, she says hello. And then Giovanna said, I said Margarita, right? And
Margarita.
Rita says, you're close enough, Katie. Well, I was around a Cuban all the time, and she would. The biggest gripe I had about Nuria, I'm like, Nuria, stop speaking English so fast. Because they'd be shh. Because her Spanish was shh. It was crazy. And she was from she's of Cuban descent, so they do speak fast. Deanna says, okay, thank you. But there was a comment about this word. Hang on, I'm trying to catch him on. Joy wants to know, how many are you making and how many do you have left to do? Are you using that heat specialty for, wait, let me try that again. Are you using that heat specialty batting?
Yes.
Inselbright.
Inselbright is what I'm using. And
Okay.
I am making a total of 16. I'm making 4 sets. So Halloween, fall, Christmas, and a like a Thanksgiving one.
Then they're all commenting on the word, and someone says, I would hope it's rarely said out loud. Yeah, it's barely ever, it's hardly ever said, but it had to do with the radio station that the United States built on top of a mountain that's down by Town Square. I'll try to take a picture of it so y'all can see what it looks like. I'm thinking about getting my hut because I don't want to hike up that mountain to get to the radio station, because by the time I get to the top, guess who's not going to be able to breathe? Me. But I thought about talking him into going up there and making a video of the inside of the radio station. I've been up there twice, I guess. Or maybe we'll pick a day when I'm not tired and do it and make a video. But it's interesting. Y'all would love it, especially you history buffs. Denise says, how do you say that word? Hey, Denise, how about when Nikolai comes home, he says it? Because I don't think I could even get it off my tongue without tearing it all to pieces. Because that's what'll happen.
Can you get Google? Can you get Google to say it?
No, because it won't say it right. There's too many consonant things in there that require that shh sound that I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hey, it's better to have continents instead of incontinence.
Yeah, that's right. And I got that. I got that one. It took me an entire year to learn how to say this word, Napossimovic. Do you know what that means in English? Mm-hmm. Take me to the sick house, which means the hospital.
The hospital, yep.
Yeah, they call it sick house in Danish. And so that's what it means in Greenlandic. Then Rita says, washroom is what I always say. I was raised saying bathroom or restroom. I'm like, why would you say restroom? Does that mean you're going to go rest in the bathroom? That's an interesting thought when you think about that word. And then Joy says, when would you use that 159 word ever? Probably never these days. Deb, hey, Deb. She says, we used to call the bathroom a biffy. That's the first time I've heard that word.
I haven't heard that before.
No, I haven't either. And then Joe says, goodness, that's a long word. Yeah, it is. And Sandra, hello. She says hello to everyone else. And then Andrea says, just do the potty dance. They will figure it out, laugh out loud. That's
That's what I
true.
love. That's what I love about sign language, because the word for bathroom in sign language is the letter T, but you shake it. So it's like, oh, I gotta go to the
Oh,
bathroom, I gotta
got
go to the bathroom, I
you.
gotta go to the bathroom.
And then Sandy says, the first Spanish I learned in Venezuela, where is the ladies' red hot? Savannah says, Nora just told you no. Yeah, she did. She's in there eating now. I gave her a big fat chicken leg. She'll be busy for a while. And then Rita says, that was so funny when Katie did that F bomb on the live. Wait, where did it go? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Where did it go? The chip. She says, that was so funny when Katie did that F bomb on a live. Oh my God, her face turned bright red. Haha. So we had a troll come into the channel and they were really rude and they asked Rita, where's her teeth? And I made the comment, I said, that's kind of rude to be asking such a thing. And then something else got said, and so my moderators went ahead and kicked the person out. And I said, there's one thing that I can't stand is when people are mean to other people. And before I even thought about it, guess what rolled off my tongue? And then I'm like,
Four-letter
I
F word.
believe I just said that. And, I was just, I didn't even think about it when it came off my tongue. It just, because I got aggravated because someone came in and was mean to my guest.
Well, luckily enough, it doesn't seem to. I got a notification from YouTube that it doesn't affect videos as hard as it did in the past. So,
and apparently you have to like use it like the first however many seconds before you do get penalized, and afterwards
that
it doesn't matter.
that is also gone away.
Yep, I read all of that. I'm like, wow,
Yep.
I didn't even know it had to be like. I always thought if you used it in any part of a live, then they would just veto your whole video because
Yep.
that's what I heard. And then when I read all the rules, I'm like, wait, what? So if I use when I used the F bomb the other day, because I was worried I was going to get
Right.
whatever
Right.
from it.
Same. Yeah, it's interesting, the rules and like the things that have changed recently. I thought that there was an informational video too, because they linked in that email to an informational video, and the guy started using bad words in that video, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, like, it never offends me or anything, but I was definitely like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
I've been on a few lives where I've heard damn and hell, and yeah, I'm saying them right now. And I don't think I've actually heard the F bomb used, but I've heard other words used. And, I learned something from my friends in New York. They taught me a really valuable lesson because and I'm not going to say what the word is. From my father. I mean, I heard it so much, it was like, why do you talk like that?
Wait,
And
Katie, did we? Was I the only one that lost audio there, or did everybody? Okay,
I
I
don't
was
know.
like, I think I, Zoom may have been censoring you or something, because you
Oh,
went
because I
silent
used the
for a
piss
while.
word. Oh, I'm
I don't
sorry.
know. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. It's just ironic that it happened at the same moment that you were telling that story, because suddenly you
Yeah.
just went silent, and I was like, wait, is that me? Is it me?
So anyway, Melanie's like, you really need to get over you give that word too much power. And I didn't really understand what she meant by that. And so the whole time I was up there visiting them, they were using that word. And I'm like, are y'all ever gonna and women are worse than men when they're picking on you about a specific word. And I said, are y'all gonna let this? Nope, not till you get where you're not making a face when it's said or anything else. And by the time I got ready to go, I was so over the word. I still don't like the word, but now I don't go and yell at someone when they use the word, because that's what I was doing, was yelling at people. Don't use that word in front of me. Hi, Linda. Linda says, good evening, Ian and John, too. And everybody in the chat, I had to work today and took a nap. So now dinner and lurk background. Italian Dutch garlic shrimp. So what makes an Italian Dutch garlic shrimp recipe? Care to share with us? Inquiring minds want to know. Especially me, since I like cooking shrimp. No, it sounded like she got censored, said Savannah. So was it the bot that censored me?
I think it just so happened to happen at that very moment. I don't think it actually censored you. I think there was just a technical glitch, and just ironically it happened at the same moment. So we didn't hear whatever word you were using, but it's just funny that it happened right then.
I'm not a big curse word user. Just mostly I use it when I get uptight about something.
Well, So On and So North sent me a t-shirt, and you may have seen me wear it last weekend, that says fabric is my second favorite F word.
That's a good one. Hey, you know what? My boss, let's see if I can find it on my phone because I took a picture of it. While she was in Washington, D.C., because her husband was ambassador for Greenland, who traded places with an American ambassador during the last administration. And so they spent the last 4 years living in Washington, D.C., but actually they were living in Maryland and he was just driving back and forth. So when the summer season got over with, she would just fly back to Maryland. And she came home with some pins after they had attended I don't know what they were protesting, but it was for a protest. And I think I might have even shown you a flag that they were flying, and it had the rainbow flag on top of the Greenlandic flag. But she's home now. They're both home now, and he is president of the Arctic something. Is kind of like the UN or like the EU, but this group of people run all the countries that are Arctic countries are involved in this group of people, and Greenland is the leader for this next however many years of leading the Arctic stuff, and so he is on the board, like I think either number 1 or number 2 position, and so they're home now. But she was wearing a pin on her jacket while we were tour guiding, and I said, "Where did you get this at?" She says, "I came back from the United States with it." And I saw several people wearing this pin, but you will love it, Ian, because it's great. Let me see if I can find it. A long time ago when I took a picture of it. I told her she needed to buy some more pins so the rest of us could have one. Maybe you have these, maybe you've even seen these pins. And of course, it's all in the middle of here that I can't find it, of course. Robin says, "I talk like a mother trucker." That is funny. When I find the pin, I'll send you a picture of it, Ian.
Yeah, I'd love to see it for sure.
Because you'll love it. Because I'm like, I want one so I can put it on my tour guide jacket.
Yeah, I might be like, hey, get one for me too.
Yeah, because you'll probably love it because
Probably will.
Yeah,
probably
it's
will.
a really cool pin.
It is only Saturday and I'm already exhausted. And then like tomorrow I'm
But tomorrow you get to relax and go to a play, right?
Yeah, but well, I wouldn't exactly call it relaxing because we're going to brunch first and then we're going to go to the play, and he lives about 45 minutes away, so it's relaxing-ish, but it's also like I have to get up early to go do brunch and then go to the show and then come home, and I don't know, it's going to be a long day. It's a good day, like don't get me wrong, it's going to be a good day, but I'm also like already exhausted and going to be running around tomorrow as well, so
yeah. Rita, we do have an Arctic Command here in Greenland, but it's not that. It's called something else. But it involves all people, all the countries that are involved in the Arctic, and Russia's supposed to be in there, but I think they are trying to keep them out right now. By using sanctions. So yeah. I'm trying to make sure that I get wait till you see how this looks when I finish this other one. I'm just making sure I get a particular color lined up because it kind of does matter. And I'm just like having fun with this block because it's a cool block, but it's a pain to make.
Ian, when I lived down between Charlottesville and that area, we used to sneak up to DC for the day and go to one of the last things I saw was Phantom of the Opera at the Kennedy Center. But it was funny because people were like, so you just, and I'm like, no, we got up early that morning. We went up, we stopped at one of the wineries. We went into DC, we had lunch, went to the Kennedy Center, watched the, matinee, and then came back. We were still home at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. People are like, I think you're crazy. And I'm like, no, I mean, Virginia's got so much.
Yeah.
And really in a couple of hours, 3 hours, you can be anywhere you want to be. I mean, you can be right in the middle of the mountains or right in the middle of DC and all the Smithsonian. It's like, it's a really rich culture.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I picked this area. I mean, one of the reasons obviously is Becca. I'll have a support network here, and I won't be alone, and
Yep.
etc.
Okay.
But another reason was because I was landlocked in Texas, and you could drive for 8 hours, and you were still in freaking Texas. So here, I drive for 8 hours, and I've passed through 23 states. So it's like. It's a much different kind of thing, and like I've never been to New York, but thinking now it's like it's only a 4-hour train ride from here, and that is kind of mind-blowing to me, that I could literally leave early in the morning, go to New York, watch a matinee show, take the train back, and be home at a semi-reasonable hour of the day. And I've just been to New York and back and saw a show. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like I went to I had a conference up in Providence, Rhode Island, that I went to, and it was really strange traveling south on highways up there and seeing New York being listed out, because New York has always been north of where I am, and so it's like, wait, what? South to New York? What? And it's just such a geographic, like, messes with your mind when you haven't been anywhere but the South for your entire life.
Denise wants to know if you're allowed to show your work so far with the pattern Ian.
Yeah, I've just been.
Yeah, let me spotlight you so you can show it to them. And while you're doing that, I'm going to press this block.
I've just been putting these together, and I've hit a point when I need to like stand up and press them, and so I can't really do much more on here, but I'm going to stick around for a little bit and just chit chat with everybody. But
that's not paper piecing, right?
No, it's all piecing. It's all just regular piecing.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, but I love these colors. I love the colors, and I love the fabric.
I do too. See, I'm a huge Tula freak. But there's so, it's K facet is fine. I ended up buying some new Cloud 9's fabrics that I just fell in love with. It looked like a lot of Tula's older line. See, I really like those colors.
They're really, really good colors. They are really, like, I'm very excited because I'll have a little bit of scraps left over with this. So I'm very excited to work with the scraps. And like, it's cool because you can see this one is a gold color over here.
Yeah.
And then this set is a silver. So you can see that there's a silver
oh wow
color combo on it as well. So gotta press these now, and the pattern is a little weird. It has you doing things in a weird way that I personally would not have done it that way. That's my personal opinion. It's not that it's a bad pattern, it's just not how I would have normally done it.
Yep.
So I'm kind of like, I'm like, well, I should. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. But I hope everything turns out okay when I get it done.
Rita, yes, that one is located in Nuke, and also I think there's another office in Ilulissat. The name of the council is called the Arctic Council. And in May of 2025, the Kingdom of Denmark will assume the chairship of the Arctic Council. Hang on. Which they did. And wait. And together, Greenland, the Faroe Islands, Denmark are honored to be carrying out this task and Norway. And there's no secret due to all the geopolitical stuff going on. And then it gives a list of everybody that's on there, and my boss's husband's on the board. So yeah. Let me show you guys something real quick. So this was from last night. And I was I was unhappy about this right here because it bleeds into the green. And I was wanting it to stand out. So this is what I did. I rebuilt a new block. I'm still going to keep that one. This is what I changed it to.
Nice.
And now I still have the pink next to the green, which was what I was trying to do because I'm trying to use green in all of this.
Well, pink does go good with green, so.
Yeah, and I haven't hardly done that, so.
Let go of my leg. Oh, sorry.
Who's got your leg?
No, nobody. It's a quote from Wicked, the first movie.
But this block has so many moving parts. It's like crazy. Anyway, I wanted y'all to see the remake. I really like the remake better, I think. The other one's okay.
Denise is saying in the chat that normally she can see I have the camera set up where you're able to see. I'll go ahead and I'll pull. So if you didn't realize, I'm actually over at Becca's. I'm actually at Becca's house.
I noticed that you were at Becca's because I saw in the background. I knew that's who it was.
Yeah, I'm over at Becca's, and she was gonna pop in and say hi. She's not feeling well at the moment, so she I think she's laying down at the moment. But I came over here because we're gonna hang out tonight, and that's why you can't see. Otherwise I would have had all my camera system and all that kind of stuff, but it's all good.
Rita says Scrappy. Oh well, I should try Scrappy. You're always doing Scrappy, but when I hung this one up with the rest of them on this over here where I showed everybody last night, you can definitely tell it's going to be colorful. Anyone who's like it's outside a lot of people's boxes. Let me see here. Okay, now I'm going to work on something else. I was thinking I would work on my PMQ, my Phoenix, but I found the quote, by the way, for what I was talking about from the YouTube channel. This is what he said, and he wanted us to repeat it back to him. This is what he said. He says, "I'm not an expert. I'm not the best at what I do. I have a lot to learn. Be the person learning and growing with the community. I can make mistakes without consequences." And that's what he said. So it was pretty cool.
Which colorway did you get for the Under the Sea?
I missed out.
Oh no.
It'll be the first time I'll be sitting out a PMQ.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Guess who's doing the M50?
I got that kit too. I apparently hadn't.
Which one did you choose?
I chose the Tula. Duh.
Well, you know which one I chose?
Did you choose the Tula as well?
No.
Which one?
I chose hibiscus pop.
Oh, okay.
my thing. I mean, everything I've been doing for the last year has been in Batiks, except for a couple things. But
Yeah.
yeah, this Phoenix, what I did when we were setting up for the flyway, I posted 3 different colorways like I did the time before, and Phoenix was one of them. Nightingale was another one, and I can't remember the name of the red and black one. I think it was red and black and white or something like that.
Yeah.
And but that one was cotton, but the other 2 were Batiks. And the one that got the highest percentage of votes was Nightingale, but then they started commenting below, and they're like, we know that you love purple and you love Batiks, but why don't you try Phoenix, because it's outside your wheelhouse, because look at the colors in it. It's the colors that you're going to be doing.
Yeah, they're very similar to what I'm doing for mine.
And Ian, when I did Clue 1, and they all these colors, you think, because there's 3 different colors of green in this one, and then there's it's like a bluish gray with a little hint of green in it, and then there's the yellow, the red, and the orange. And I wasn't sure when I first saw it, but when I saw that Clue 1 and saw how it was coming together, it was like, oh, this might be cool. And now I'm done. This is Clue number, I don't know which one I'm on.
7 for flyway.
Well, no, I'm not on 7. I think this is either 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. Bye, Banana Joe. Have a good night.
I'm a little behind.
And yes, we can see your comment, Terry. I see your live chat.
Did I miss something?
No, Banana Joe said she was going to bed, so I was saying goodnight to her. And then so Terry popped in the chat and said, hey, Katie, can you see my comment above? I tagged you in it. Can others see me? We can see you, Terry.
I can see you, but let me backtrack, Terry, to find what you're talking about, because I must have missed something important. Oh, Terry made the comment. Okay. Oh, Terry says the sound went out right after you said the H word and the D word, so maybe you were censored, possibly. If that's the case, then they'll be censoring people left and right, huh?
Right.
It could be. It could be also the bot. The bot might have did it. I don't know. I thought I turned off all that crap on my bot, but I might have missed something.
Who knows? Who knows?
Giovanna says she's off to bed. Cindy Soret, that means sweet dreams in Greenlandic. You know what my most favorite Greenlandic word, the very first one I learned that I like the most? It's imaka. You know what that means?
What does that mean?
It means maybe. Because I say maybe a lot or possibly a lot in English. And one day I asked Nikolai, because he says, you can use those 2 words a lot when I ask you something. I'm like, well, they're kind of my 2 favorite words, because sometimes I don't have an answer. And,
is that you beeping or is that me?
That's me beeping. That's my iron doing that.
Okay, all right. I've heard it go off a couple of times, and I'm like, is it in the room here or is it somewhere else? Because I got the headphones on, so I can't tell for sure.
It's me. It's my my iron does that, and I don't know what it's telling me. Probably say, you're not using me, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Probably what it means. Or saying, you have left me on. I don't know. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, what was I saying?
Imaka. Yeah.
And I'll put it in the chat so y'all can see it. Hang on. It's a really simple word. And it has 2 M's, so you're supposed to draw out the M sound. Anything where you see 2 consonants side by side or 2 vowels side by side, you draw out that sound. Instead of just saying imaka and just cutting it off fast, it's imaka.
Hi, John.
I just put it in the chat so people could see it. Hey, John. So anyway, where is my instructions for this? That's a good.
That was one of the things that I was thinking about working on was my clue, but I thought this was going to take me longer, so I didn't bring anything else over with me. So
you can sit and talk. We're not in a hurry. I don't know. We've been going about an hour now. Hour and
2 hours.
Well, hour and a half.
Yeah.
7:30 to 8:30 is 1 hour. Yeah, just an hour and a half now. And usually we might go another half hour and then I'll cut y'all at least unless you have to leave sooner. Maybe not. Are you going to start any new projects? And if you are, what are they going to be? Unless it's a big secret.
I have a couple projects that I'm going to be starting on once I get this one done, but they are currently secret. One of them is my pattern that I'm designing. I actually need to put it together. I have somebody who's testing it for me, and they are working on the blocks for their version of it. And I'm waiting. I need to get my button gear and actually do it. But what I've been dragging my feet on is whenever you create a pattern, you have to create the page design, like what it actually looks like on the page. And so I've been working on what my template is going to be, so that way I have cohesiveness between different patterns and everything. So that's what I've been working on first, and have a couple other projects, but mostly secret ones at the moment.
So you see this back here behind me right here? This is the channel so long that I'm doing this year. Last year we did Raspberry Kisses, and remember when we were at QuiltCon, I don't know if you remember seeing it or not, but one of the booths had a twin size Raspberry Kisses. It looks like X's. It was
Okay.
They had mounted in the corner part of the booth, and I asked her where to find a pattern. She said the pattern's free, and so when she said that, I said, I have a YouTube channel. Can I use it on the YouTube channel? She says, sure you can. Not a problem. Just send them
Awesome.
over there to download the, print out the, whatever part they want
Right.
to print out, so they have it in paper form if they want to. So I set it up as a channel sew, and that's what we did last year at the beginning of the year. This year I finally got it quilted. I'm assuming you probably have not seen it, but I don't know. Wait, hang on, I'll show it to you. If I could get at it. Do you know how many quilt tops I have right now?
153.
No, don't say that. I think it's bad enough having 18. I can't believe I have 18 quilt tops. I had some of them in the trashed sewing room that we still haven't moved back into yet, and I pulled them out, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder how many I have, and when I counted them, I about had a heart attack. I'm like, oh, that's more than I wanted to do. Where are you? I know you're under. Oh, here it is. I think. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, right here. Found it. So all this stuff you see piled up over here is finished quilts and quilt tops. This is my Raspberry Kisses.
Oh, I like it.
But I made a mini one instead of the big one like you saw at QuiltCon.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be a good one for scraps too.
Yeah. And then I use this as the backing because it has all the colors that are on the front.
I like it.
So yeah. So I quilted it this year, so it's finished. But
I'm getting ready to enter 5 items into the state fair. I've never entered that many before, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Denise, that is probably true. I do know one of the things she's talking. Let me read what she said. She said, with all respect, as quietly as it is kept, there are groups of people in the United States whose native tongue language sounds similar to the Greenlanders. So, since we're having chit chat here, this is something that I talk about when I'm tour guiding. Back in the Sockcock, Dorset, and Thule age, the Sockcock and the Dorset age, all of the Inuits traveled together as one huge group of people, and they traveled from Alaska, Canada, over, because that was all land ice up there at the time, all the way to Russia. And so they all spoke Inuit. And then when they, in the Thule ages, when they all started becoming separate entities, and some stayed in Alaska, some stayed in Canada, some stayed here in Greenland, and the rest in Russia. So if an Inuit from Greenland goes to Alaska, like my boss did with a couple other Greenlanders she took with her. They went to meet Inuits in Alaska, and come to find out, the Inuit language is, they could understand each other. They just had to learn the dialect part of it because the dialects are different, but the overall language itself is the same. And so a lot of the Inuit language, especially in Canada and Alaska, kind of intermixed with Native Americans as well, the Native American people before they became something else. You know what I mean by that? Before English people came into the picture. Um, so some of that got intermixed with the more northern tribes of the Native Americans that lived in the northern United States and Canada. So some of that got intermixed. So some of the language sounds similar, but the pronunciation or the dialect might be different, or it could be a completely different language, but still sound similar in nature. And here in Greenland, they have 3 dialects. You know how we have dialects in the United States with English? You have Southern people, Northern people, West United States. I mean, our English, depending on where we're raised at, what state we're raised at, we might use our English in a different way. Here in Greenland, if you live from Nuuk down, because everybody that lives south of the Arctic Circle, so that would be from Nuuk, the capital, all the way down to where I'm at, that dialect on that southwestern area, that the Greenlandic is different. If you go north of the Arctic Circle on the west coast, and it goes all the way up to the extreme northern part of Greenland, it's still Greenlandic, just like in the south, but the dialect slightly varies. But if you go to if someone comes from the east coast, because there's 2 spots where there's a group of people that live, their dialect, you can actually hear the difference between their Greenlandic and the Greenlandic you hear in this town, because every now and then they'll come here for a kayak competition or some other thing going on. And when you hear it, you're like, oh, they sound so different. But you can understand some of what they were saying. And so there's these 3 dialects that vary. So like when Nikolai was teaching me how to say, how are you in Greenlandic, he was teaching me how to say it the northwestern way, which is Quinok Ibit. But then while I'm down here, his mom would say Ayungi, and I would hear a bunch of people say Ayungi. And I asked Nikolai, I said, doesn't Ayungi mean the same thing as Quinok Ibit? He says, yeah. I said, so why am I learning it from up there? And he says, I'm trying to teach you that there's a proper way of saying how are you, and then there's the slang way of saying how are you. And down here in the south, it, you know, a Yungi means how are you, or are you doing all right? And you can answer it either the long way, which is a Yungalanga, I'm doing very good, or you could just say a Yun, I'm good. And there's 720 variations of the AJUNN word. It is in 720 different words.
Jeez. It's like my sign language professor. She would tell us, she would teach us how to say things correctly. But then there are some things that are very similar to the same sign, but they mean something very different. And she would show us, she'd be like, okay, now that you know the right way, here's what you don't do. Because nice to meet you is very, very similar to something else that is done in usually a horizontal position with 2 people.
Yep.
And so she would tell us, like, I know, she showed us the proper way to say how nice to meet you, and then what not to say.
Yep. Hey Jody, welcome. So do you know the Spanish word for the SH word? It's caca. You want to know what
yeah.
Want to know what the Danish word is for it? You're going to laugh when you hear it.
Oh dear.
It's Satan. Now, if you and I, as English speaking people, heard someone say Satan, you'll be like, are you talking about the devil?
What is happening?
That means the same thing. But the one naughty word we were talking about earlier today, the bomb one, it's universal everywhere, even here, because you can see it written on the side of the building. You'll have F the police on the side of the building.
I saw on TikTok, there was a video gamer and she's German and she was needing to sneeze. And she's playing a game and she sneezes and something happens in the game almost as if it was affected by the sneeze.
Yeah.
And so she screams, Scheiße! And I was like, well, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a German, right?
Yep.
So you and I are used to saying, we were taught as kids, when you sneeze, you say, excuse me. Or you say, excuse me, when you're passing gas.
Yeah, that one, yeah. More bless you if you sneeze.
Yeah, or bless you. Yeah, any of those.
Yeah.
Here, if you pass gas, it's a big joke around here. Every time someone everybody gets to giggling. And one day I asked Nikolai, I said, what's so funny? Oh, he passed gas over there. I'm like, and nobody's upset about it? No, we all think it's funny.
The farts will never not be funny. Come on now. Like,
well, I was raised to go in another room and do it.
That is, yes, that is very, very true. Although I was at a theater after party, and we're all standing around in a circle, we're having a great time, we're laughing, we're hee-hawing, all that kind of stuff. And somebody made me laugh so hard I farted. And it was just one of those ones that just happened, and I was so embarrassed. And then everybody starts laughing at me, laughing harder at me because of it. And they're like, "Wow, you must have thought that was really funny." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. It just like slipped out."
Yeah. The first time I couldn't stop it, and it happened, and Nikolai was laughing. I'm like, "Why are you laughing at me?" He says, "Because it's funny." I said, "What's funny about it?" He says, "You really don't get it, do you?" I'm like, "No, not really." And it was because, when you're raised a certain way, girl, especially when you're a girl, girls don't do things like that. Girls go somewhere to do these kind of things. It's just lots of restricted things, and so I never could. And I still sometimes, when he laughs at me, he'll hear it, because I, go in the bathroom. When the first 4 years we were married, I'd go in the bathroom and do it. And one day he came in and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Passing gas." He's like, "Why?" "Because I don't want you to hear it." And he didn't understand that.
Yeah.
It's because that's how I was raised. Some of the stuff that we are taught as young girls, some of it's kind of stupid.
It's funny because John in the chat says John is so quiet. It's fart talk. He doesn't want to talk about farts. That's what it is. That's why he's so quiet. He's
about to start laughing.
I'm reminiscing to last week when I was watching Ian, and he was talking about having to take a bio break in the middle of his life. So I'm trying to figure out how this has become the right topics.
It happens. I mean, Andrea in the chat was like, the things we talk about on quilting channels, it happens. It just...
The biggest thing I think we talk about besides quilting and sewing is usually food, and we haven't even migrated to that.
Right.
Usually that's what
we're having steak fajitas on the Blackstone griddle tonight.
Ooh, that sounds yummy. And Vicky Bush says farting. She says farting is a natural response. Robin Marie says, "You want to know what's hysterical? The walking farts."
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yep. Definitely, yes. It was funny too, because when I worked at Six Flags Over Texas, we had codes for bodily fluids, should I say? I don't even remember. It was funny because there was I think it was a 37A, 37B, and 37C. And so 37, I think if I remember correctly, so like 37A was like vomit, 37B was like blood or other bodily fluid, and then 37C was an overflowing trash can.
Oh boy.
What?
Overflowing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like AB.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Wow.
Oh, not like that. No. Literally just the trash was overflowing. Like literally the trash can was just overflowing. Yeah, no. It was just funny because it's like, You're going from bodily functions to a overfilled trash can. What?
Mhm. Yep. Brian says air in, air out.
Yep.
Let's see here. Andrea says, my late husband and I were at a church on the front wooden pew, and he cut loose that rattled the pew. He elbowed me and said, Andrea, couldn't you wait? Talk about a red face. I was mortified. Yeah, see? Men would do that kind of stuff back then too, when it was them that did the doings.
John has a point. He says basically you're talking about food. It's the byproduct of eating.
Yeah. Sometimes after I feed, Nora's still on the raw diet. I decided not to switch her. And so every now and then I'll feed her a pepper or an apple or something. And then I'm like, I'm going to kick you off the bed because she'll be up there passing gas. And I'm like, oh my God, you stink.
Silent but deadly.
We had a Dalmatian. That Dalmatian was deadly. Oh, it was awful. And we ended up having to give her away because we moved.
Sometimes.
And when we moved, we gave her away. And the couple that got her called us and goes, good God, is that all she does? We feed her Rolaids every day. Like, yeah, apparently it's a Dalmatian thing. I didn't realize that.
I think it's a Dotson thing too.
Oh,
It's like, okay, you're murdering me with all your stuff. Let the church say amen. Oh my God. Andrea says he was a rodeo clown, never a dull moment when he was around, even in church. And then Savannah says Dalmatian farts are the worst. Wow. So let me see here. Do you have a story you can tell of the funniest thing that ever happened to either one of you?
Which one?
One.
The funniest thing the funniest thing that happened.
I still like the quilt retreat where he showed up in the outfit and then tripped. That was pretty good.
I'm gonna pick on Ian about falling down. I'm going to have to get him a bubble soup if he ever comes to Greenland in the winter months, because Ice and him will probably be best friends.
But he
I
takes
can't
it
say
all in
nothing.
stride. That's what you have to appreciate. He takes it in stride. He just keeps going on. He rolls with it.
So the first time Nikolai took me on the lake when it was frozen, I could hear the ice making noises and I'd run off the ice. But when you're running off the ice, you have to be careful because it's slick, because it's not got traction on it. And I'll be walking, but trying to get away real fast. And he's like, just walk like a normal person and you won't fall down. So I walk like a normal person, and guess what happens? Bam! On the ice.
You got to walk like a penguin. You got to shuffle your feet.
See that,
Nope. I remember one time. This is another Six Flags story. I remember one time I did Fright Fest, and I was painted up like a zombie costume, like unrecognizable. If people have seen me in my zombie costume, like they're always like, "That was you," because I look completely different. I would stop cutting my hair in May and let it grow out through October, and it was wild. It was crazy. But I was up at the front gate, and there were three of us, and our whole job was to host the faux radio station at the front of the park as people were entering, and just just being entertaining. Just that was our whole job, just to be entertaining. And so we would get bored up there just day after day. At some points we were working 12-hour days in the sun, in the heat, in the cold, everything. And so a lot of times I would love scaring people. It was one of my favorite things. You've seen me scare Becca enough times. And so I'm hanging on the front of the stage. The stage is come up to about chest high on me. The lowest part of the stage was about chest high. And then there was a planter box in front of the stage, and then there was the street where everybody was at and walking on the bricks. And so I would sit on the edge of the stage with my feet on the edge of the planter. I'm just hanging out there, just surveying the audience and everything. And I could always tell who was going to react. They would look at me and I would see them tense up and get nervous and get scared and everything. So I always knew who in a group was my target and stuff like that. And I would suddenly go from the sitting on the edge of the stage to in the middle of the street in a flash, and it would always scare the bejesus out of everybody because they would see me, but then suddenly I'm right in front of them and they were just freaking out about it. And so I saw this group walking towards me. I knew exactly who my target was going to be, and I went to jump down off the stage onto the street, and my feet, they were on the edge of the planter. They slipped down into the planter. So I've already started my momentum forward. I can't stop myself, and I go face down onto the ground, like just couldn't stop myself, and just boom right onto the road. And I thankfully caught myself. I didn't face plant or anything, but I caught myself, but scratched my hands up a little bit. And instead of looking like this big scary creature thing, zombie, I just looked like a total doofus, just on the ground. Everyone's laughing, and I'm just like, oh man, that was so not what I was going for.
No, falling down is not fun, especially when you're doing it that way.
Yeah.
They used to my when I was a teenager, and I can relate to you falling down because when I was a young teenager, I was all the time doing, not on purpose, but I would be falling down, or I would do this, or I do one time when we first moved to Stark before we moved to Lake City, us girls were like tomboys, so we were anything to stay out of the house, away from the friction inside the house was a good thing. And one day I was climbing over the top of a barbed wire fence, not pulling it up and like going through it. I was climbing up it, and I hear my mother, and I'm concentrating because I knew if I wasn't careful, I was going to cut something. I hear, "Get off that barbed wire fence before you cut yourself." She no sooner said that, right down my thigh, because she distracted me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I have a scar to this day that's about this long, where barbed wire ripped my skin open. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the only thing we did. We would go and you know what a live oak looks like, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are really big oak trees. They don't get tall. They spread out long limbs. Yep. And we would climb up in one. Me and Cheryl would. Most of the time, Karen didn't do it as much, but me and Cheryl would, because we were like little daredevils. We would get up about 10 feet above the ground, and then would shimmy all the way to the end of the limb. And then we'd make the limb doing this. And you can hear my mother holler, "Get out of that tree, you're gonna break your arm." And we were just having a good time.
Yep. I had another. Go ahead.
Joan Reed says, "Katie, what is Tuber Chat?" Okay, we have guests in here due to a raid. And for those of you that don't know what a raid is, it's where a channel who is doing a live post a link that when they're getting ready to end their live, they send everybody to the next channel, and it's called a raid. And Tuber Chat is run by Kevin. Kevin helps small channels like us to grow, and it's like a little family. And so he had a live that started, I think, an hour before mine, I think, Kevin, something like that. And so when they got done, he sent everybody over here. And so I've been going to his channel now for almost a year. I think it's going to be a year sometime this month. I don't remember exactly when, but he helps promote smaller channels to help them grow. He also gives really great advice. You get to meet a lot of different people that may not necessarily be in the niche that you're doing your YouTube stuff with, but it's good to meet these people because you go visit their channels, they come back and visit your channels. So you're sharing watch hours between each other, whether they're a sewer or they're a homesteader, or some of them do animated art, some do cooking, some do, I mean, the list is long of all the people that come in and out of Tuber Chat. And so it's turned into this little group of like a little family, and they come and a lot of times when you're in the live, Kevin mentions if you want to, you can share a plate. You can do what they call a playlist swap. So you'll say, well, and it's up to you who when you say I want to do a plate, you can post in the chat, say I want to swap my plate with someone else, and then someone will say, okay, I'll swap my playlist with you. And so you'll go to their channel, pick a playlist, and watch the entire playlist. The other person will come to your channel at the same time and watch an entire playlist. And guess what you get out of that? You get watch hours. And some of us like to like them as we're watching them, and every so often I make comments and all this thing. And that's why my channel is growing. It went from 1,500 to 4,000 by the end of last year, something like that. It grew really fast. And now it's kind of like plateaued a little bit. I'm trying to hit the 5K mark and I haven't got there yet, but this has been a great help for us small little people, because it's a good way to, he knows how, he gives great advice. There's people that know how to make emojis for like what you're doing for your paid members. I just still don't know how to make them. So I've got to learn how to make them for my paid members. I don't have that many of them, but I have enough. I should be making icons for them and I haven't done it yet. How to do that, how to do this, how to do that. He gives great advice. And so like there's several people in here right now that came in on the raid. So, and I've had Crafty Witch 232. She's a crocheter. She does once a month crocheting lives with me on my channel. And so it's been her and Scraptastic Crocheter that's been coming over, along with Shonda from Under the Needle, because she does quilting and crocheting. And so once a month I do a live, which will be this Tuesday that I'm doing it. And this is how I met all these great people, is through Kevin's Tuber Chat channel. And Terry hit 1,000, I think this. Yes, she did. And Terry said she finally hit her 1K, thanks to everyone who supported me these last few months. And that's congratulations, because that's a big milestone. Y'all want to know what my next milestone is? And I'm so very close. Having 500 videos on my channel. I wasn't even trying to do that. And then I got an email saying, you're this many away from it. I'm like, what? Wait. I went and looked, and sure enough. So last time I looked, I was at 494. So I was 6 away. So today it'll be 5 away. Have you got the rest of yours finished, John? You want to show them? And I'll spotlight you.
I got the hot pad. I still have to do the backing in So Bright, but I've got the.
Those are cute.
This one, and then I've got the Christmas ones.
I like that one. You can send that one my way.
Are you calling me a hoe?
Right? And then this is Halloween. I love that.
That is super cute. I like that orange fabric around the outside of it.
I do too. I just got that, and then I did this one for fall.
Oh, that was pretty too.
Yeah.
So what fabric line is that? Is that lime green or is that yellow?
No, it's actually kind of a lime green. It's got a yellow backing to it, but
okay,
it's
lime green. Sometimes the camera teases.
Yeah, but to me, it just went perfect with that. You know, like it's transitioning when the leaves do during the fall and that. So I am excited.
So are you giving that? So what are you going to do with those when you finish them?
So they're for family for Christmas, like my daughter and my niece. So a few folks that I exchange gifts with. So I am trying to give them something other than quilts.
Ian, how do you thank you, Andy. Andy's been a member of my channel for 2 months now.
Oh, wow.
Which makes me happy. I want to talk about this poll after I undo the spotlight, and then I want to talk to you. I want to ask you 2 questions about putting quilts into shows. I have questions about that. The poll was, what does Rubicon mean? Option 1 is yellowish, option 2 is greenish, option 3 is red faced, and option 4 is pale. And I'm curious, how many of you went and looked it up before you put an answer there? If you
I
went
did
and
not.
looked it up, you know, in the chat, I hope you guessed if you didn't know
I
the answer.
guessed. I did guess.
What did you guess?
I guess the what, reddish face?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What about you, John?
I did not guess. I did not see it. I'm sorry.
So I'll reread the question and then you can guess. What
All
does
right.
Rubicon mean? Yellowish, greenish, red-faced, or pale?
I think yellowish.
Okay. All right, I'm going to talk about the poll now. Shelby said she guessed. All right, so this is where the voting lies. 8% said yellowish, 4% said greenish. Andy guessed also. 80% said red-faced, and 8% said pale. And the answer is red-faced. Yesterday, I gave the word, what was the word I gave yesterday? Because it was an interesting word, which means indifferent. Oh, now I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, someone said, why did you choose that word? Sometimes I like to choose really strange words because it's interesting to share a word. And other times I really don't have a method of why I do it, but sometimes I just think sharing new words is cool. Dana Lynn says, I guessed. Vicky Bush says, yay. So somebody guessed right. Okay, let me see here. I think I have Andy's channel. Let me share Andy's channel. Those of you that are in here with channels, I don't know if you saw it or not, but type exclamation selfie to share your channel, and I'm sharing Andy's right now. Andy's, which is Crafty Witch 232, she's a crocheter. And you got to go over and look at her crochet masterpieces.
Oh, I'll definitely do that.
She likes to do spooky stuff.
Love it. Love it. I'm opening her channel now, and I'll save that for after the live stream.
She has Jason stuff. And Andy, what all do you do? Because I don't know all of the scary ones you do. Math Geek says, I love language. Me too. One of the best things I loved about English class was reading and doing spelling and looking up words. What I didn't like about English was freaking grammar. I hated grammar because it was so boring. Type exclamation selfie to share your channel. And I don't know, John, I could have sworn you were in the bot. I don't know why you're not on here unless I put you in a different way. I don't know. Let me try Guys Craft 2. Let me try that. You should have been in the bot because I've interviewed you.
We've been together some.
Yeah, we have. So you should be in the darn bot. The bot's not giving me nothing, which is kind of strange. And I'm locked out of the bot because it's using my other email and I can't figure out how to bypass it. Every time AdFest updates itself, it cans all of my passwords. And I have to go back and refigure them out because I was too lazy not to write them down. It's really stupid. Yeah, you're not in the bot, which is very odd. So now I'm going to go hunt you back down again so I could share your link. All right. What's your funniest story to tell, John?
Probably when I was a school teacher. I taught middle school for a few years, and I was in a hurry going down the steps and managed to miss one of the steps and ended up with my laptop flying up in the air and my coffee flying up in the air. And all that fortunately happened at home. But by the time I made it to school the next day on crutches, I had quite a student body to deal with for the next couple of weeks. So
that's interesting. The word that I was talking about yesterday was called perfunctory. Perfunctory. And I just said that wrong. Anyway, it means indifferent. I thought anytime someone acts indifferent, I'm going to use that word. And they'll be like, what? Okay, so Andy says she makes Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, Michael, Ash, Ghostface, Chunky, Annabelle, Edward Scissorhands, Pennywise, Billy, Beetlejuice, etc.
Don't say it another time.
Yeah, don't say it. Yeah.
Don't say it the third time.
Time to fix dinner, says Joan. Have a good night. Denise says you gave all colors as the option for today's word since Rubicon means ruby equals red. See, there's that root word. Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday and I think I've talked to 2 or 3 people here. One of the things I asked about Greenlandic is don't they have root words or like, let's give an example, bicycle. We know if you pull off by, that means two. Cycle means something with wheels, usually. So bicycle means 2 wheels. Unicycle means 1 wheel. And so I gave that example. I said, doesn't Greenlandic have such as that? She said she didn't even know if they were such a thing because she don't remember that far back in grammar school. Because if I could learn the because
root words.
Action words always at the beginning of Greenlandic apparently, and the subject is at the end of the sentence, at the end of the word. If I could learn the root words to some of this, then I probably could get where I could read it better than I can. Because that's the biggest trouble I have is trying to figure out some of it. Dana says, I read trashy romance novels and sometimes the writers use some crazy words no one knows and make you have to look it up. Makes me think they're trying to show out. It's so unnecessary. Actually, I love big words in stories. I will go look it up because I think it's interesting. The Anita Blake book series that me and Nikolai's doing on Audibles because I've read all of them except the last 2, I think. I had already read them before I moved over here, and so he was doing the Audibles on the last 3 of them, and I said, do you really know what's going on in the series? He says, well, some stuff I do, but some stuff I feel like I'm left out of, and I said, well, why don't we start it at the beginning, the very first book? And he says, you don't mind doing it? I'm like, no, because I'm sure I forgot stuff I read in those books because there's 30 books. So for the last year and a half, we've been listening when he comes home and we're sewing and he's building, we're listening to the Anita Blake. And sometimes we'll get through some part of a book and I'm like, I don't remember reading that. And I was actually reading them back then, not listening to them. And I'm like, I don't remember that. I wish someone would make a TV series after it, but then they wouldn't be able to do all the sex part of it. Because it's very crazy.
Katie, this has been fun. I've enjoyed being on today. It's always fun to be with you and Ian. It's a special treat.
We need to not go so long between sewing together again, you two. I'm just saying.
For sure.
So you and I'll be together tomorrow.
Huh?
You and I'll be together tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow I have 2 lives tomorrow. I have Sean in the morning because it's live on my channel for Star Climber, and then I'm coming to you afterwards. So it's going to be crazy tomorrow again.
That was me today.
Tomorrow, but at least I have a little break in between them.
Yeah, I'm glad I scheduled it at 1 instead of 2 because it would have been running right up until that point. So,
and when I was watching you about an hour, about 45 minutes before you went to knock off, I was like, I was in pain earlier today, like a bad kind of pain, and I'm like, I need to go lay down and take. And I normally don't take my pain meds in the middle of the day that way, which was around 4:30, I guess. And I'm like, if I want to be functional tonight, I better take it. I think what I've done is I've pushed my back a little too hard because I'm using a portable table right now to cut fabric on. And 2 days ago, I spent 6 hours cutting fabric. And then,
oh, wow.
And then yesterday, another 2. And I noticed that my back was really hurting me after the fact. And it's like, so when he gets home, one way or the other, we got to figure out something about that sewing room and get my butt moved back into it so I can use the
Definitely.
regular cutting table he actually designed for me. So I didn't have to make my back hurt. So what I'm
Yeah.
going to do now is I'm going to spotlight each one of you again, retell them about your channel again, when you're going to be live next, and anything else you got to say. So go, John.
So I'm John, GuysCraft2. Thanks for having me on today. I am live on Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. Arizona time, because we're the only state that chooses not to change the time in the U.S. And never know what I'm up to. Always up doing some different things, different projects. But again, it was just fun being here with you all today.
Well, thank you for coming, John. And like I said, it's been a minute, and we get to sew together tomorrow. And I appreciate you coming and hanging with me again. Now let's go over to Ian.
There we go. I sew on Sunday afternoons at 2 p.m. Eastern. Most of the time, today was a little different, but most of the time, 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday afternoons. I'm going to hang out with me, and then you can always check out my website, offkiltercrafterian.com, for all the updates on everything that's going on with me. And I'll also be on Sean's channel later this month, or is it this month? I think it's this month. Later this month, I'll be over with the guy who sews Sean. I'll be on his Brekkie live stream, so make sure to check that out.
Yep. You're live on? I thought you were live on the Friday too for some weird reason, but maybe you're not.
I know Becca's on Fridays, and a lot of times I join her on Fridays.
Maybe that's why I get confused, because I see
right,
you on Friday.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, Irish Sail Lady Linda says that she just subscribed to your channel.
Oh,
John.
awesome! Thank you.
Okay, all right. So tomorrow, 11. No, sorry, can't give you Greenland time. 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Sean of the Guy Who Sews will be working on our Star Climber, and then John,
7 p.m. Eastern.
What time?
7 p.m. Eastern.
And yeah, because I knew it was later in the day. I get to take a nap tomorrow. Yay. Maybe. Anyway, and then later that evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be with John on another live, and we'll be sewing together on his channel. So if you haven't subscribed to either Ian's channel or John's, please go over and share the love. And the other thing is when you're over there and you have time, please go watch some videos, like the videos, make a comment, and that helps everybody's channel when you do that. And again, thank you for coming today to hang out with us. I know we didn't get a lot. Well, I got the block done, but that's about all I got done. But remember to live, laugh, love, and dream. And what do you do with all that? You make something beautiful. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, let me disconnect the live. Okay, did it disconnect?